The FNL Network talk show.
Hey everybody, thank you for joining us this evening. This is another FNL Network talk show. We have Marianne with us, Sean, and Bettina. Yay! I am your host this evening, Emily Minthouse. I'm so excited to be back. This is my first time hosting in a long time, 3 or 4 months. But I do think the topics that we'll be discussing this evening is going to be super fun. We're going to talk about Elon Musk. What do you all think about him? Good guy, bad guy? I don't know. He always has some kind of drama going on. We're going to be talking about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. That case, I don't know if you all have been watching. We're going to find out is bananas. And then we're going to be talking a little bit about maybe some of our own relationships we've had. And then our favorite celebrity couples and our least favorite celebrity couples through the years. But thank you everybody for tuning in. Bettina, really nice to meet you. And Sean, I'm meeting you for the first time this evening. Thank you. Marianne, awesome as always. So we'll get this started here. What do you all, I'm going to start with Sean first since he's over here in my little corner. Don't put Sean in the corner is what I feel like saying. What do you feel about Elon Musk and all this Twitter drama going on?
Well, I hope he buys Twitter because I bought some Twitter stock thinking he would. I mean, and this man makes money. He's worth over like $200 billion. So, you know, he doesn't come across nice. He seems like he's a douchebag, but I've never met him. So I don't really know for sure. But I mean, he goes to the bathroom and he poops out money because, I mean, you know, SpaceX to Tesla, you know, to now.
Hold on. You know, he was not the founder of Tesla.
He's not. I thought
no, there's 2 other men that founded Tesla. He just is riding their coattails. He paid into it is what he did because he got lucky with money. But I agree with you. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. But no, he was not the founder of Tesla, which is why I think he bought Twitter, because this is starting to come out. And a lot of people on Twitter were like putting him through the ringer over the Tesla incidents and stuff. Hold on here. I'm going to tell you who actually has founded Twitter was actually Martin Eberhard and JB Straubel. There's a documentary on Amazon Prime called Tesla. That's 9 episodes if y'all want to go and look at that. But go ahead, Sean. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt that way, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, don't be. It's all good in the neighborhood. I don't know. I also think a lot of what he does, even with Twitter now, will he buy it? Won't he buy it? It's all just to kind of create some drama and buzz. I think he's good at getting press. So who knows if he's even authentic? Like I read posts where he's like, oh, I'm switching from being Democratic because they're haters to being a Republican.
Oh, yeah.
I think he'll just say things to get people to talk about him and to keep his brand and his net worth high. And because, like, look, we're talking about him right now. I mean, I don't even know him. I don't care about him other than I did buy the stock in Twitter. So I hope tweets keep going on. Keep tweeting, everybody. Tweet it out. Daddy needs a new pair of shoes. That's all I got to say.
Bettina, what do you think about Elon Musk?
You know, I saw him on SNL and it looked to me like he's a dude who's on the spectrum. So I always kind of find it interesting to people who are on the spectrum and then they have this like innate ability in some other areas, like making money. You know, I just find that interesting. I'm a little concerned about him buying Twitter because he said he's going to have Donald Trump back on, and that concerns me gravely. You know, I don't think that we should have dangerous people speaking out. I mean, I am all for freedom of speech, but up to a point. Like, I don't think it's fair to go into a movie theater and be like, fire! Like, so I think there's got to be limits on where we have free speech. So I'm a little kind of worried about, like,
well, Donald Trump doesn't want to come back on Twitter. He announced that True Socials is up and coming, but you know, not just talking about. I'm a First Amendment person, no matter what. So it doesn't matter what title you have or what kind of position you hold. In my opinion, Donald Trump's tweets were not as bad as what we would have with ISIS leaders and things that are on Twitter that still like proclaims death to Americans, and they kept them on Twitter. So if you're going to keep one extremist on Twitter, you might as well keep them all, in my opinion, or just cancel them all out on any social media platform. There should not be like major hate between one group to another or any of that. But I am a First Amendment right person. I do believe in the freedom of speech, and I do believe that you can express the way you feel without violence. But
That's the problem,
if
the
they're going
violence
to,
or inciting violence, that's a
right.
problem. That's a
Well,
problem.
also too, we're finding out there's a lot of bots on Twitter now, which
that's also
Marianne
good,
and I
yeah.
talked about that. So I'll bring that up in a second. I want to know too. Thank you, Bettina, by the way, for the input. Mary, and what do you feel about Elon Musk?
Honestly, I don't
And the
really know
Twitter.
what to think. You know, he's very smart. It's evident he's very intelligent. But some of this stuff can be a little scary. As far as him buying Twitter, not so much right off, but thinking about the other things like the AI and all the stuff he wants to be involved in. Some of that's a little bit scary, thinking about down the road, what would that do to jobs? I mean, you can spiral and think about all kinds of things when it comes to that. But I think he's very smart. But as far as good or bad, I'm kind of on the fence.
I think Emily might have froze.
Oh, I think Elon Musk did it. He bought Twitter and he's already freezing people he doesn't like. I'm kidding.
I mean, most probably.
Yeah.
And don't you think anyway, like we shouldn't be thinking about people in terms of good and bad? Because don't we all have good and bad within us? Isn't that like everyone? Like no
I
one is
agree.
either just like one or the other. We're all a mix of like all these different things.
Speak for
I
yourself.
agree.
I'm perfect with a huge penis. I'm just saying. Well, we all have our own specialties. Can't judge everybody,
Oh, my
Down to 3. There we go. What's tonight's topics, kids?
Well, you can't curse, but I guess you could say words like that.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, penis. Yeah. It's medical. Marianne, she's around horses. She knows.
Are you? Do you have horses?
I do. I have several. Yes, I have a whole farm. So,
Oh, that's fantastic.
yeah.
That's
We
awesome.
love
I
it.
love horses. That's great.
So Elon Musk, I think he's a devil's advocate in many ways. I think he plays both sides. And in a business mind frame, I think that's kind of smart to do in a lot of ways. But Marianne, like you were talking about the AI things that he has talked about over the years, that's kind of alarming too. And did he actually, Sean, did he actually purchase Twitter now? Did that transaction go through? Because all this bot stuff is coming up. And then, he's doing this before the elections. I think I read, I can't, if I'm wrong, just let me know. Read that the transaction of him buying Twitter is not going to be completed until after the November election. So that's kind of a red flag to me. Why is he not doing that now or before?
To my knowledge, he was renegotiating the price. So essentially, he was saying he was going to buy Twitter, then tweets like me went ahead and bought some of the stock because supposedly Twitter hasn't really evolved. And so their stock is worth like approximately $40, $50 a share, whereas Facebook is like 500, So when you compare the value, it's very low for being a platform. And it's just how the business was run. Okay, so the point to the story is with Elon, he said he was going to buy it, lots of buzz. Then he mentioned the bots. And then that created a whole big, kerfuffle. But he did buy a lot of shares already into Twitter, but I just don't think it was like where he was the sole owner or, had all the shares where all decisions go to Elon. He just did buy a large chunk of shares. And now the rest is waiting. And then they said that supposedly he came in back with a lower price. So I don't know.
Well, Bettina, do you know anything about that? Anything with the bots or?
No, but I don't I mean, aren't bots those things that come on and like kind of annoy people, and they say obnoxious things to get you to like start fighting with them, and then they start going into your Gmail or email or whatever and like doing like scary behind the scenes type of stuff? Isn't that what bots are? So
Well,
you don't want them.
I
I mean,
don't
I know
think
people that took their Twitter, like once they heard he was going to buy it, they dislocated their Twitter account. Like they got off Twitter because it was like they didn't want anything to do with him or Twitter anymore. So I mean, I could see that. 'Cause to me, he's
I think there's a plethora of things when it comes to bots. I don't know if the bots, because they have these farms, the bot farms. I don't know if anybody's ever seen these, especially over in Taiwan and all these other areas where these people sit like with 20 cell phones and stuff in front of them, and like there's these ads that you can get. It's like buy so many followers, buy so many likes, and all these things. And I've studied this. This was a little bit part of my college degree, and what it is that it just tries to. We may be talking about a lot of narcissism tonight, by the way, everybody, because we're going to be talking about Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. But what it is like boosts people, buy these followers, then they buy likes to their posts to boost their ego, to think that they're something that they're not in many ways.
well, is
And
it their ego or is it a marketing thing so they could sell stuff?
it's an ego, because those are not true followers. But in the mind of someone that might be grandiose, they think that these are true followers. Now, used to on Facebook and Instagram, because that's the same company, Meta, what would happen is over every 6 months or so, they would do a purging or an update. They call it an update. So when they would purge these bot accounts, because they don't want these fake accounts on there. And they would then flag the pages and that bought so many followers, unless you're super famous. The Kardashians do this, and I can tell you all a simple way to find out who buys followers really quickly. But that flags that account that could possibly be spam related or anything. So then your reach and everything, anytime you have an update, people would complain, well, I have an update, I don't have so many likes on my page anymore, I don't have so many likes. Well, it's because you bought followers, and then they purge those out, and it flags Facebook or Instagram over that. So Elon, though, I will tell you this, him exposing this on Twitter, and a lot of people that's in marketing has known it for many years of these bot accounts, but him actually exposing it gave it a huge platform to make people aware of. I do like that about Elon right now. So, but the bot accounts are not good for your company. If you have a company page and you buy followers, now I can understand if you're like, because there's certain perks when you get to a certain amount of numbers on social media. Like if you're at 49,800, but you need 50,000 to get more marketing things, and you just need 200 more followers. I personally would buy 200 more followers to get me to that place. But what's happening is you're having all these people buy all of these bots all the time, and they're getting 20,000 followers within 2, 3, 4 hours of them. And it just doesn't work. I am glad Elon is exposing that. I really am. Marianne, good to see you back.
Sorry. Technical issues tonight.
Oh, that's okay. Well, obviously I had them too. So, Bettina, really quickly with Elon, and then we'll probably move on here in a second with him. So, with Elon Musk and everything he's done, he's also has dressed in some controversial like outfits, especially to the Met Gala and things over the years, that kind of makes you suspicious of what side is he on. But Tina, do you think that, and I'm going to ask everybody, is he more positive than negative? Do you think he's
What do you mean by
for?
dressing according to the side you're on? That makes no, I don't even understand that question.
Hold on, I didn't finish it.
Okay.
So, so do you think that what outweighs the negative and positive? Because a lot of people see him in a positive light, a lot of people see him in a negative light. Maybe we should have another show to talk more of negative. I don't like to do that so much, but I can.
I just, you know, it's
Uh,
hard for me to follow this. I don't see people in terms of like good or bad or negative or positive. I just feel like everyone has got lots of negative and positive within them. And like, people aren't just black or white or one side or the other in terms
I
of
don't
being
see
a good
that either.
person or a bad person. We all have everything inside of us. And so it's very hard for me to give you an answer in that way.
Okay,
But I'm very
well,
curious
so
about the dressing thing. You like, he dresses in a certain way. I mean,
Met Gala, he in Met Gala in 2018, he had a white suit jacket. On the back of his white suit jacket, he had an embroidered name. It was Latin, I believe it was, but it meant New World Order on the back of it. So you know, we have all this stuff happening in the government that's going on, this New World Order push, this globalism, and I don't want to go political that much because with this, but I think he plays both sides. And where you were talking about earlier with him wanting to bring Trump back on Twitter, so that's why
scary for me.
that's why I
scary for
wanted
me,
to
yeah.
know to know what if you think, does he play both sides? Do you think
Well, I
he's
know that he used to
positive?
be a Democrat and then he switched to being a Republican. So right there, it's telling me you're not being true to your heart. Like if you're switching around like that, because they're so different in today's world, like they are night and day. So that just tells me he's not coming from a real place. You know, he's coming from a trying to be a powerful person. You know, I have so much money, I could do what I want. I could push people or buy people. You know, I don't think that's great. But you know, people also have the ability to change. So you know, I try to keep we try to keep good vibes for people, or try to keep an open heart and try and see the good in people, so we can raise our own vibration and just keep a high happy vibration for ourselves and vibrate high around us by looking for the good in people and not to focus on this crazy bad stuff that's just going to lead to negative stuff and disease and poverty, suffering and conflict. We don't want that. You know, we don't want to think about that stuff. It's scary and not good
Fine.
for us. Not good for us as a race.
It's not good. I agree with you, Bettina. It's not.
That's my
Sean,
thought. That's my thought.
how do you feel all in all?
You know what I'm going to say? Elon, if you're watching, I love you. You're my best friend. You have a lot of money. Take me to space. The planet might end soon. I don't want to stay on it. If a meteor's coming, take me, Elon. I will worship and compliment you every day. I have
Be on Mars.
whatever you need, Elon. I am your man. I'm here. You are so damn handsome for
No,
50.
don't take Sean. I'd like him here with me. Don't take him.
My boy. There you go.
Everybody right
Sean,
now,
don't let him take you.
Sean,
I'd miss you. It would be terrible.
We'll go together. We'll even let Steve go.
Sean's going to be coming live on FNL in the next few months from Mars. I believe it.
Hopefully we'll have better internet.
Well,
We'll see.
hold on. What's really funny with Elon, with men are from Mars, women are from Venus. So that's I think it's funny.
That's a
But
good book.
Marianne, what do you think all in all with Elon Musk?
All in all, I think he's very brilliant. I think he's very smart. I think when you think about the AI, there's a lot that can be very good about it, but there's stuff that can be kind of spooky, kind of scary too. So I don't know whether or not I would consider him good or bad. I do like the fact that he's trying to get the bots off Twitter. I think that's a positive. But all in all, I'm still kind of on the fence. I don't know enough to say definitively, is he good or bad? I do agree with what Bettina said. He does have good and bad qualities like everybody. But as far as is he good or bad, I don't really know.
Okay, so with my opinion, we're going to roll on here in a second. And I come from a money background. I always follow the money. So, who actually owns Twitter? Why did he like bought 9% of it, right? So the top three investors was the Vanguard Group and the BlackRock Group, and then Elon. Then you go over to Tesla and you see who owns Tesla. It's Vanguard Group and BlackRock. So I think they're all in this together. I think this is all a kind of not conspiracy. I just think it not be a good distraction from what's really going on in our world or not. Whether or not Elon Musk is a bad guy, good guy, I'm still iffy on it too, but I don't trust anyone. So I do like the bot thing that he's finally put forward, and people in marketing understand the bot stuff. We've been talking about that for many, many years, and thank goodness for all that coming out. But and I will say this, he's the master troll of Twitter. Like, I love seeing his troll comments and responses to anything and everybody, political, Hollywood. He trolls them to the finest, and is amazing comebacks. So I do like that about him. So he's a likable person. Whether or not he's trustable with me, it's still up in the air. Time will tell, I guess. But he did date Amber Heard.
Did he?
Yeah, he's been talked about. They were even talking about like bringing him in as a witness on this Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. So that's like, this is smooth. He did date Amber Heard. Amber Heard's baby, she just had a baby, was actually one of Elon Musk's. They did the eggs, they froze everything, and he took her to court to get that and the court favored Amber Heard. So even this baby she has right now, it's actually Elon Musk's baby.
Huh.
And her.
Do they call it Tesla?
Probably some numbers like what is it on Star Wars? What's the Star Wars guy's name? K2O? Not K2O. What is it? I can't even remember. But it's probably some like X2 4.0 or something. I don't know. Elon likes those names.
Wow.
So I'm going to start with Marianne this time with the Amber Heard Johnny Depp case. Have you been watching any of it, and how do you feel?
Yeah, I have watched some of it, and I feel like she's very caught off guard. It's kind of humorous to see her reaction when they question her about things. Did you see where she had James Franco visiting?
This is a narcissistic palsy move here, is that narcissists will do anything and everything. Even if they think they're going to get caught, they will still do it. And then when they do get caught, they gaslight and pretend it doesn't happen. So it doesn't surprise me that she was bringing in these people all the time into the penthouse there in LA when Johnny was gone. They honestly think that they can get out of everything. So when the doorman testified that he saw all kinds of people coming and going and everything, and there was another person too that testified on it. It doesn't surprise me, but the especially when Johnny Depp is gone, that's where they play. This is narcissism to the fullest, in my opinion, with her, and I think she's the abuser. I'll just flat out say that. Compared to Johnny. Johnny had a lot of reactional abuse moments. But yeah, I saw those videos in the elevator, and she knows she's being recorded. She kept her head down.
Did.
Like,
Good. I saw that. I agree. I see some narcissistic traits for sure. But some of her, like her facial expressions even look just so angry during that trial. And I feel like up until they showed her the video evidence, she basically was like pretending she didn't remember anything. So it's
gaslighting. That's gaslighting.
It did. And then there's the whole thing about, not to be gross here, but you know what I'm going to say, right?
We've talked about poop before tonight already.
Going number 2 in the bed. That's interesting. Kind of, yeah, gross.
That's how I always show my
Huh?
revenge.
That's funny, Sean.
You know, be like,
It's
well, you think
a phantom pooper right here. It's a phantom pooper.
I hope you have a day. Mm.
It happened. It happens, right? Was that Forrest Gump? It happens. I don't know. Sean, real quick, how do you feel about the Amber Heard Johnny Depp? Because hold on, really quick, over in the UK, Johnny Depp lost.
Mhm.
So this mind blows me. If I don't know, I didn't watch that stuff over there in the UK. So this mind blows me. If they're presenting a lot of these things, you know, in America, in Virginia, compared to the UK, I don't know how he lost. So how do you feel about the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case?
I just think the whole case is kind of pointless. I mean, supposedly it's based on an op-ed she wrote, but she never named him. And then he's suing her for 50 million for, libel and defamation. And then she countersued for 100 million. And then all this like crazy comes out that like, oh, his agent says he had a drug and alcohol problem. Well, that's not shocking if you just look at him. And aside from that, he mentioned like he lost a finger almost when she threw a wine bottle at him. So I don't think any good can come from just airing a bunch of dirt. And, it's something that a couple, I think, should have resolved together. And for all the exes who come forward, in my mind, like kind of attracts like. If somebody has a serious addiction, you can't be with them very long without sharing in that addiction. To me, it's like Bobby and Whitney. You won't want to be around it. You won't be able to tolerate it. Like if you're not drunk and somebody else is, it's not fun to be around a drunk person. So why would you? So I just don't get it.
Do you think, I mean, is there a good record of Johnny Depp being on drugs and alcohol before Amber Heard? Because a lot of people, especially empaths that deal with narcissistic abuse, they end up using drugs and alcohol to combat that abuse.
Well, to me, I remember something years ago with Kate Moss and some sort of ruined hotel room. And so I think there's been documentation of like incidents throughout the years, but honestly, I don't follow it that closely. I mean, I wish him well. I don't know, but I mean, supposedly his agents and other people testified that that's why he was late on set. That's why he missed out on opportunities. If that's true or not, I don't know. And I mean, they're actors. Of course they're narcissists. I expect it. It's part of the profession. You're the product. So I don't care about that either, to be honest.
So are we seeing two narcissists collide then?
Yeah, and they probably had a toxic relationship. They both probably have issues to work out, and it didn't work out between them. And they shouldn't sue each other. They should just go to therapy.
Well, I don't think that. I think what made him, he lost his Disney contract. He lost another contract. She didn't lose anything with the defamation case. So he's trying to sit here. And I've had false allegations against me before in the past with the narcissist. So I understand where he's coming from with this. I'm super sensitive to it in many ways, but I can also see where he has some deep rooted child trauma because his mother abused him and things. And so has he worked through that trauma? I don't think so. I hope he does eventually one day. I don't think he's completely innocent in this, but I do believe that Amber Heard is the most aggressor in it, especially with the cheating and all that, which comes classic with narcissistic abuse. They always cheat and all that, those things. But this is an eye opener. And I will just tell you this, with anybody that is in the United States, especially, there's tons of people that has false allegations against them. If Johnny Depp ends up winning this case, that will be an eye-opener and a wonderful thing, especially with those that deal with mostly emotional and mental abuse. There was a few physical abuses here with the cut off finger, but it was mostly emotional, mental. Bettina, what is your input?
I mean, I think it's really sad that this is what America is kind of looking at right now. Like, why are we so fascinated with these people's personal tragedy and horror stories? I mean, I can imagine like if I had to live out like a personal issue on national TV, it's just so sad. Like that's what I think is the worst part, that we're all kind of fascinated by this. Like these people need some serious deep healing, and they need privacy. So I just don't get why we're so fascinated with these I mean, Johnny Depp, I think he's a creative genius, but and I feel like some people maybe like to see these creative geniuses have some crazy to them, which I don't think is a good thought anyways, but I just think it's sad that this is what's on television, what we have to watch or think about.
Well, and with empathy with
Sad.
Amber Heard too, with empathy with Amber Heard too, because I believe there's good in everybody. So she
Yeah.
also had a tragic upbringing with an abusive father.
Yeah,
So
it's
we
sad.
have
Yeah.
two tragic people coming together, but I can't help some of the stuff she said, and a lot of those. Here's a red flag, everybody. If you have to start recording somebody, like audio recording, video recording someone you're dating, like you shouldn't be dating that person.
Yeah.
Get
Well,
out
let's get
then.
some healing,
Get out then. But I've been there. I've done that with one particular relationship with me, and I only record to try to help him, to show him what is happening, because he would deny, gaslight, shift blame, make excuses, all those things. But and the empath in me, I did make excuses for this person. I stayed way longer than I should have ever. So I think we're having, what we're seeing with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard is that yo-yo love bomb, that cycle, and it's called a trauma bond.
Yeah.
Trauma
We
bond.
shouldn't be watching this, Let's focus
And-
on our own healing and try to heal the planet.
But I think we should watch it in many ways, Bettina,
Really?
because it has helped me kind of understand a little bit more outside of my own personal experience that I've had too with it. And I can relate in many ways with Johnny Depp. I can relate in many ways with Amber Heard. I will tell you this though, with most narcissistic individuals, they do have an addiction disorder. All right. So most of them are alcoholics. Most of them have some kind of narcotic. So on the stand, and I'm still waiting for Marianne to come on. So Bettina, I'm going to ask you. If you've seen these clips, there's been 2 or 3 times that it's been questionable that Amber Heard is actually doing drugs or drinking alcohol in the courtroom. Have you seen those things, or how do you feel about that?
I haven't watched it enough to really, if you're asking me, to
Mhm.
make a comment on that. And so, I mean, I just see 2 people suffering, and like now they're being made a circus out of. So I just kind of.
Well, Johnny Depp lost millions and millions of dollars. Amber Heard seemed to not lose anything. So Sean, with me talking about like where she was, putting the handkerchief or the tissue there, and she looked like she's in. The other day there was a wig move where she pulled, and you can see it. She pulls something out, and then it looked like a piece of acid, is what paper acid, in my opinion. Put it on in her mouth, and there's a water incident where she had like a cold, like little thermal, and she was going to untwist it. She didn't untwist it. She put it back down in her pocket because she saw a guard coming through, and then she picked up the bottle of water. So there's some things that people are saying she's using during the trial.
Oh.
Have you seen any of that?
I haven't watched any of the trial, to be honest. I've just seen recaps.
Really?
Heard of it, yeah.
Marianne? You seen any of that?
I've seen some of it, but I haven't seen anything about the drug use. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I haven't.
I don't know.
I haven't
I don't
even
know what to
heard
think
that.
there.
Poor Marianne, her connection's bad this evening.
Oh, Marianne.
Marianne.
Is Marianne from Gilligan's Island?
Yeah.
She's lost.
She is lost. So
Can you hear me?
I
Yeah,
hear you.
yeah.
You can't see me?
Frozen.
You're frozen.
Frozen.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Well, that's why I commend Johnny Depp though for going because he's the one that lost financially over it all. And I do believe he helped her with her career. And I don't believe he's an abusive person. So the defamation article and everything, he didn't lose his positions with Disney and the other movie contract he had until that came out. So I do believe it's a day of reckoning. And Amber Heard has a long history of abuse too. She's been arrested before for physical contact with ex-partners and things. And then it goes so far deep back, like she said that she lost her best friend when she was 16 years old in a car wreck. Well, then you look up Amber Heard's record. She was arrested at like 17 or 18 years old or 19, and with expired license. And there's a long history with Amber Heard with physical aggression. And the one girl she dated for a long time too, they had an altercation at the airport, and there was some things filed there. I don't think she was actually arrested. I could be wrong on that, but you know, it seems like it's the same story over and over and over. Maybe now she's being held accountable, which she probably will deny it all, obviously, and then she'll shift blame and make excuses.
Until you
And
fix yourself, you're gonna have the same issue over and over again. I mean, that's just
narcissists
it.
don't think that they can be fixed, though. Like they don't think they ever do anything wrong. So
Well, unless you're willing to make a change, you can't make a change. But if you're willing, of course you can.
So, all right. So that's Amber Heard, Johnny Depp trial. I think they have a few more weeks left. 2 more weeks left, I think, in it. We'll see what happens. But I'll just tell you, Team Johnny is winning, in my opinion. Sean, I know you said you didn't. Do you think anything you've heard tonight, even maybe you think Johnny winning?
I think they should have just threw the whole case out and told him to go to see a therapist. Personally, I just think it's silly.
Exactly.
Marianne?
Are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Just wrapping up my thoughts on the case. I feel bad for Johnny for sure. I'm not there. I wasn't involved, so it's hard for me to say exactly what happened. I only know what I see. I just hope that both of them get the help that they need.
Yeah.
They both do need help. They do. So real quick, before we go on to our most favorite celebrity couples and the worst celebrity couples, Marianne, we'll start with you. What is if you don't want to share, you don't have to, but what is one of the craziest things that ever happened to you in a relationship?
I don't mind sharing.
Okay.
I was dating this guy who was a police officer, and he was awful, very controlling, didn't want me to have friends, didn't want me to wear makeup, which that's not going to work for me. Didn't want me to wear my hair extensions. That's not going to work for me. So there was a long list of things. I had to wear certain things, couldn't wear certain things. But the craziest thing is when I tried to leave him, he had cameras in his house recording me. And I was shoving my stuff in bags just as fast as I could, trying to get away from this creep. And then a camera flash went off. He'd hidden them throughout the house so he could see what I was doing. And I'm like, and then he came home and he confronted me. And I was like, I don't want to be with you anymore. And I was scared because he was older, bigger, everything. And I have horses, and I had a horse at his house. And he was like, you're not taking your horse. And I'm like, yes, I am. And I got on that horse and I ran away from him. And my friend drove my car. I will never forget that. It was like a movie.
Wow. Good for you.
Bettina.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Well-
Marianne. Go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say he was very controlling, and I'm glad I got away.
Bettina, you?
In my youth, like before you were all born, most probably, I dated a guy who I found out in the middle of the relationship was addicted to like heroin, cocaine. And he would go and rob people with a gun at their house,
Wow.
yeah. And one day he was like, I'm gonna go out for some groceries. I'll come back, I'll make you breakfast. And he didn't come back. And we were living together and it was very disturbing, obviously. I had to call hospitals and all different places. Anyways, he was in jail. He got arrested and he was in jail for armed robbery. And I went to visit him a couple of times, but then I was like, it's time to break up. You're in jail. So, I mean, I loved him very much, but that was a crazy relationship. And that's the part that I'm willing to talk about.
Oh, you could have been Bonnie.
I
and
know it goes deeper.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sean, worst thing ever happened to you in a if you feel like sharing.
My whole life is a bad date.
No, I don't think that. I don't think so.
Oh my goodness. Well, one, I remember I met somebody on an app and it was right after the holidays. And so I meet him at like a coffee shop and he has this huge dog. And I was like, oh, well, where do you live? Because like to me, to have a really big dog in the city is like having a roommate that doesn't pay their bills. It's just like, where do you put it? And I even mentioned at first, I was like, oh, is there enough room for the dog or whatever? He's like, well, it's people who need the room and not the dogs. I'm like, all right, I just offended him. What can I say that's going to be like a nice thing? So, it doesn't always come naturally to me, nice things. So I was like, well, how was your holiday? All of a sudden begins to bawl.
That should be a Sean. What I'm talking about, that should be a Sean Bennett t-shirt.
Which thing?
About nice things, what you just said. I'm sorry, that was funny.
Hey, take your time. So
Go ahead, Sean.
How was your holiday? And he starts to cry and he's like, my father died. And I'm like, oh, I mean, who knew? You would think a holiday is a safe question, but no, it brought back his worst memory ever. So between the dog and the dead dad, the date was done. It was a dud. It was a dud of a done date. So, that was one experience I remember.
Well,
that was a fairly mild Sean experience too.
Sean, you're so much fun, by the way. So it's so much fun. But my worst experience ever is with the narcissist ex that I dated that I connected with Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial so much is during the time I was dating him, my uncle, he was married to my aunt for 62 years. So he was 81. And she passed away. Nobody talks about elderly abuse. Elderly suicide. So Michael committed suicide. Michael committed suicide 2 weeks after my aunt passed away. And it was the first time we ever experienced suicide in our family. Like we always still like to this day, like I should have done this, should have done that. It's terrible, terrible death. So please, if you're thinking about that, please don't do that. The family grieves for years and years to come. But so it was the weekend that my uncle committed suicide. My mom and dad actually found him. My mom called me that morning, was screaming so loud. Like I remember my face and my arms, my hands went numb. I dropped the phone, all that. So it was very, very hard. Well, the ex-boyfriend blocked me. He hung up. 12 hours later, he told me I should have been over it. He hung up on me. He blocked me for 3 days while I was grieving. So fast forward a little bit. I finally leave this guy. I go to therapy because I think I'm the problem. I go to therapy and she starts revealing all this abuse. And then we get to this. So then about 4 or 5 months later, this guy that I'm dating, he's 50 years old and he does gaming, like Xbox, PlayStation, all this stuff. And then I found out that he made me into an anime character on a PlayStation 4 game called Dreams, called Emily on the Moon, in just my underwear. And he did it the weekend that my uncle committed suicide. And he modified it and everything, y'all. That's crazy. That's the craziest thing that's ever happened to me. And his mother is a therapist in Miami. I will never date anybody from Miami now. Sorry. I will never. never. But his mother was a therapist, or still is a therapist in Miami. I sent her everything on it. Like, I called her, she wouldn't answer the phone when I called her about it, but it was absolutely. And how I found out about it was, I had a much younger friend that played games, and I introduced them together, and then he saw it come up on the PlayStation because he got the game. He's like, Emily, I think this is you. And it was my haircut, my hair color, everything. And I was like, when was this created? And he said, come on over. So I went over to my friend's house, and he showed me. It was the weekend my uncle committed suicide, when he blocked me for 3 days. That's crazy, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'm not the crazy one in this. So that's what I went through. So the maybe he didn't poop on my pillow or my side of the bed, but I feel like I was pooped on, and it was just stuff I never thought I would ever think about. So, all right, let's move on to a little bit more positive things now.
Yes,
And
please.
Don, I'll start with you. We'll start out with you. We'll end on a positive note. So, the worst celebrity couple that you believe, and then the best celebrity couple that you believe in, that you think is great.
Just because they've had rumors for years, and what happened recently, I'd say Jada and Will probably could use a little bit of work, and clearly both might have anger issues and other things going on. Don't know them clearly personally, but it just doesn't seem like there's happiness right now in their lives. Best, well, I love the Obamas, but it's, I think typically like movies and stuff. So I'm going to go with, I'm glad Ben and Jen are back. This would be a cute little ending, that after 20 years of being engaged and married to other people and having kids, that, they're really meant for each other. And now they're at the right place to be together. So I'm rooting for Ben and Jen. Bennifer. I want it to work.
Yeah, Bennifer, or that. Bettina, worst.
I have like different
celebrity
things.
best.
I have different things to say because I couldn't figure that out. But I will say, like, my favorite celebrity right now is James Cromwell, because he was in a Starbucks and he glued himself to the counter because he didn't like that oat milk and almond milk and non-dairy milk are now more expensive than cow milk. So, being a vegan myself, I just thought that was the greatest thing. And I think he got arrested, but I think he made his point. And that was a very exciting story that recently happened. So that's a celebrity story. It's not related to couples or anything, but I'm all for the vegan celebrities and getting the word out there that we shouldn't harm our animals.
So, how do it really quick? Do you have any red flags though on any kind of celebrity couple? Red flag, like, oh, you get that cringe when you see him or anything?
Well, I was just listening to Sean. I was like that, I've been thinking about that Will Smith, Jada one, because they're both very damaged, and what he did was just coming from such a damaged place, and he, again, a person who needs to take care of himself and heal himself before going out and hitting people. So I thought that was a very sad story too.
Oh, it's really sad too. Jada. Well, I don't know. That's a whole
They
other
both-
talk. Maybe the next time we'll talk about Jada and Will Smith.
Yeah,
But that's a whole other show.
I might have a lot to say about that. The healing that needs to take place there.
We're gonna end on a positive note. So what is your worst celebrity couple first, and then the best celebrity couple that you think?
You asking me?
Yes.
Okay. My best and worst?
No, do worst first, then best.
Okay, worst. Obviously, Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. We already talked about them. Will and Jada, that one's kind of because we've talked about that before. But that's just kind of the, that whole situation wasn't good. But one of my favorites would be Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, because they seem to be very much in love, and they're silly with each other, and they laugh, and I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, that's nice.
Marianne, hold on. My worst couple ever, and I will never forget it as long as I live. I cannot, no, for some reason with this. Angelina Jolie and Billy Bob Thornton. Like,
Oh wow.
no. Like, I remember watching them back in the day, and Saturday Night Live would do all their like little skits and stuff with, because Angelina was going through that time too where she really romantically kissed her brother on the lips, and I can't, like, even when I see Billy Bob Thornton now, not so much Angelina, but Billy, I think of that them as together. And I was a young teenager, early 20s when that happened, and it just grossed me out to no ends. Like, it just yuck. But Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds is my favorite Hollywood couple. Like, I love them dearly, and how they look at each other, support each other. I love them. And I'm so glad, Marianne, you said that, because we haven't talked about it at all by any means, but love them as a couple. So I don't know. We'll see what the rest of 2022 brings us, right?
Yeah.
We'll see what how many more days left. I think Amber Heard, they have, like, the judge is like really strict on how many days they have left with that hearing. They're like, we are not going to go over. This is what it's going to be. If you're not done, you're not done. If Johnny's team's not done, you're not done. This is it. And the jury is going to get it. So we'll see what happens. We're going to see what happens with Mr. Elon Musk with Twitter. And it would have been interesting if he did do his little deposition or was subpoenaed to the trial there, but obviously that's not going to happen. But a lot of stuff's happening, and it's fun to be part of this right now. So anyway, thank you, Sean and Bettina and Mary Ann. It was good to see everybody. Good to meet Bettina and Sean this evening. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in for the FNL Network Talk Show. We'll see you all next week on Friday night, every night with FNL.
Don't sue each other.
No.
Don't anyone sue anyone.
No, and don't slap a stranger either, like Will. No. These are public service announcements, folks.
Did you do that, Sean?
Well, shh.